Hi, Claire.
Hi, Emma.
I'm on fire. Fireside.
We already talked about my embarrassing childhood crush, and we promised a part 2 of your embarrassing childhood crush, which is Brad Pitt. And I want to know what you like about him.
I had 2. I had David Beckham and Brad Pitt. David Beckham still have a crush. Brad Pitt no longer. I think what really did it for me with Brad Pitt was Troy. I mean,
oh, okay, fair.
Those abdominals.
Does anyone actually think he's not hot in this?
I was gonna ask if it was like Ocean's 11 or something.
He was hot in Ocean's 11, but Troy, the whole upper body situation, hot. Beckham, hot. You know who is
You clearly have a type.
I do. Want to know my adult crush?
Who?
Matthew McConaughey. Hottest human ever.
Oh, I did know this.
Yeah, I guess there is a theme. Blonde. My husband also blonde.
Okay, we're gonna start. We're gonna come onto hands and knees, and we're gonna come into a cat-cow to start. This is just like the complete opposite of who I'm interested in. So your hands directly below your shoulders, knees directly below your hips. We're gonna do a full body class, and we have 2 common mistakes to watch out for today. So we'll walk you through them when we get there. So when you're ready, take a big inhale, drop your belly down towards the ground, look up towards the ceiling, and then take a big exhale through the mouth, push the ground away from you as you round through the spine and look towards your belly button. Nice, good. All right, so just a little warm up to start. Good. Nice.
Do you not think my choices are hot?
I mean, they're definitely attractive, although Matthew McConaughey, depending on the movie, I feel like he can look a little freaky. But I would not say I'm much more into brunettes, as you know. So, and that's not really my vibe. But freaky. To each their own, you know? Yeah, he I don't know, he gets very into character. Loses a lot of weight, looks very gaunt.
Isn't that the whole point of being an actor?
Yeah, but I'm just saying sometimes he doesn't look that attractive. Good.
I see what you're saying.
You know? Okay, push the ground away from you, spread your shoulder blades apart. Every time you do this, as you're rounding through the spine, I want you to lift up through your low abdominals, engage through the core. So you're looking towards your belly button or between your legs to round through the spine. Good. All right. Good. Big exhale as you round. Good. Big inhale as you drop the belly, look up towards the ceiling. Good. All right. So you're going to feel your pelvic floor relax every time you look up and stretch open through the chest. And then you're going to take a big exhale, really engage through the core. Good. As you round through the spine. Okay. Last one. Round through the spine, push the ground away from you, spread your shoulder blades apart, and then you're going to meet me in neutral. So find the position between those 2 points. Good. And you're going to hold. All right, we're gonna drop down on our left forearm. So your elbow is coming to where your hand just was, and your arm is gonna be at a slight diagonal to the front of the mat. Okay, your hips are gonna be pointed ever so slightly over to the right in a second, but I want you to keep your shoulders square down to the ground. You're gonna lift your right knee off of the mat, kick your right foot up towards the ceiling, and then lower that leg back to where it came from. Good. All right. Really nice. Okay, keep going. So you're putting a ton of weight into your left side, and you're really engaging through your left glute and your obliques to prevent you from toppling over to the left. Good. Nice. Good. Kick the leg up and lower back down. It's also really challenging here to keep your shoulders square down to the ground. So your tricep is working on the right side to keep you kind of squared down and prevent you from opening all the way open to the right.
I feel like I have to really think about like 50% of my supporting weight in my left forearm and the other 50 in my right hand to like keep my shoulders square.
Yeah, that's a good call. Also, we're going to talk about this in a second, but Claire is really engaging through her core. So as you're lifting the leg, you want the lift to come from the glute. So the back of the right leg, the back of the moving leg, it's not coming from an arch of the back. Okay. On this next one, you're going to lift your leg up into that kick and you're going to hold it there. Okay. We're going to draw big circles in one direction with your right leg. Okay. So drop big circles. Your knee is dropping down towards the left knee, lifting back up towards the ceiling, and then lowering back down. So you're basically going as big as you can with these circles without wobbling through the rest of the body, which is super challenging. If you're wobbling, make the circle smaller. Good.
Left glute.
Really nice. Yeah, good.
Supporting one.
Yeah, this is a big challenge for the left glute, big challenge for the core to keep you stable. Good. And I want you to think about your thigh bone on the right side moving around in the right hip socket to create the circle, to really get into the glute on the right side. So it's not the knee that's circling, it's the thigh bone moving around in the hip socket. Okay, we're gonna switch directions next time your foot is kicked up towards the ceiling. Good, yeah, switch directions. And usually people start with the direction that's easier for them. So good luck on direction 2.
Oh my God,
Good.
dude, my left glute. And also like my shoulders.
Yeah, you're pushing the ground away from you, especially with your supporting forearm. Good, really nice. Notice how much Claire is engaging through the core to do this. Take it nice and slow, don't rush. Good, let's do 2 more.
Oh my God.
Good. Okay, last one. Nice big circles without wobbling. Good, lower the knee back down. Good, and you can drop it down. Nice job. Okay, we're gonna come up. Yeah, take a stretch if you need. All right, we're gonna come back down onto hands and knees. So hands directly below your shoulders, knees directly below your hips. Okay, and then you're gonna straighten through your right leg. So the same leg that was just circling, straighten through the right leg. Good. All right, you're gonna lift your heel up a few inches. So toes lift up off of the mat and then lower back down. Good, nice. Okay, so this is where people have a tendency to arch through the back to lift the leg. So notice how Claire is really engaging through the core and she's not arching through the low back and dropping the belly down towards the mat to lift the leg. So tight corset around the core is staying engaged the entire time, and it's the glute on the right side that's helping to lift the leg and lower the leg. Good. All right, let's do 4 more, and then we're gonna add on. Really push the ground away from you. If you feel like you have icky wrists, come onto your fists. Good, nice.
My left glute, just from supporting from the other exercise, is like really in right now.
Yeah, this is a lot of glute
fun.
support on the left side. Yeah, good. Okay, on this next one, as you lift the right leg, your left arm is going to sweep back towards your left hip with your palm facing up towards the ceiling, and then lower the leg as you lower the arm. So leg stays straight. Good. Okay, we're gonna keep going. So now I want 50% of your supporting weight in your right hand, 50% of your supporting weight in your left knee. Okay, so we're getting a little bit of tricep work as the arm lifts up towards the ceiling. Good. Core has to work really hard to support you.
Ooh.
Good, nice. Really be mindful of engaging through the core. Good. Okay, we're gonna do 4 more.
Oh my God.
Good. For 3, keep pushing the ground away from you with your right hand. Spread that shoulder blade apart. Good. Notice how even as Claire is removing an arm and a leg off of the ground, her shoulders are staying facing down towards the mat. Her hips are staying facing down towards the mat. So there's no twisting of the shoulders, no twisting of the hips. Good. 2.
Oh my God.
Good. Last one. Sweep the arm back, kick the leg up and hold. Okay. Right leg opens out to the right an inch, arm opens out to the left an inch, and then bring everything back to center. Good. Whew. All right. Claire loves to say no wagging the tail in this position. So what that means is you're not shifting the body around and you're also not arching through the back. Good.
Oh my God, my glutes and my shoulder.
Yeah, this is
very
hard.
full body, and my core.
Yep. Can you straighten the right leg even more? Yeah, good. Okay, let's do 3 more. Good. Whew. We're done after this. We're off the wrist also. For 2, off the shoulder. Good. Last one. Good. Lower arm and leg down. Nice job. Oh. Take a little child's pose. We're gonna stretch through that supporting wrist and hand. Okay, so wide knee child's pose. Okay, and then I want you to take your right hand and thread it underneath the left arm and put some weight down on your right shoulder. Good. Nice. Okay. We're going to lay down all the way on your left side. Okay. So I want your hips stacked on top of each other. Bottom leg is going to be slightly bent and top leg is going to be long in line with your body. Okay. You can take your top hand for a little bit more support and put it in front of you on the mat, or if you feel stable, put it on your hip. Okay, we're gonna draw big circles with the top leg. So pick your direction. Same thing as on the other, as what we were doing on hands and knees. Take your biggest circle possible without wobbling. Okay, good. So you want your hips not to be rocking around, not behind you, not in front of you. And I want you to keep the same amount of space between your top rib and top hip and your bottom rib and your bottom hip. Okay, so think about lengthening through your right hip to keep that space between your hip and your rib. Good.
Oof.
Nice.
I feel like people also always ask about the foot.
Yeah.
And like, just let it dangle. Just let
just
be
flop
neutral.
it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just let it foot.
Yeah. If you're tensing through the foot, you're probably not engaging through your top side glute, I've found. Good. And another kind of trick here is to point your toes, top toes, a little bit down towards the ground to get more top side glute, less quad on the top leg. Okay. On this next one, you're going to switch direction. So big circles in the other direction. Yeah, there you go. Good. So same thing here. It's not the foot that's creating the circle. It's your thigh bone moving around in your hip socket that's creating the circle. Good. Keep engaging through the core. Good. So this is also some sneaky oblique. So I want you to think about lifting your bottom oblique up off of the mat, really hugging the core in. Think about cinching that corset. Good. All right. Let's do one more. And then you're going to hold your leg lifted in line with your right hip. Good. And hold. Okay. We're going to straighten through your bottom leg. So if you need that little bit of extra support, take your right hand, bring it down to the mat. Okay. We're going to lower your right leg down a few inches and then lift it up a few inches. Good. All right. Keep going. So, the challenge here as you're lifting and lowering the leg is to activate through your top side glute. So you're not smushing your bottom oblique into the mat every time you lift the leg. You're not going to feel anything if you're doing that. Good. So you're keeping that space between your top rib and your top hip. And then it's also a balance challenge to prevent your top hip from toppling. Good. She's feeling stable, it seems.
I am. And also like what you said before about my bottom oblique, like the more I think about like lifting it away from the mat, the more I can engage it and the more like stable I feel.
Yeah, that's a good call. Okay. On this next one, you're going to hold the leg lifted at hip height and hold. Okay. Bottom leg lifts up a few inches. So bottom leg lifts up a few inches. Yeah, there you go. And then lower back down. Okay. So top leg isn't moving. Bottom leg lifts up and then lowers back down.
Top
side glute. Good. Keep going.
He's dying.
Yeah. It's a big challenge to keep the leg lifted. The leg gets heavy.
Yeah.
Good. Keep engaging through the core also. Okay. All right.
You can always bend it, the top leg, if it's really too much for you.
Yeah.
Reduce the length.
Okay. Whew. Let's do two more.
Oh my God.
Good. Last one, hold the bottom leg lifted and hold. You're going to squeeze both legs together. So inner thigh connection between both legs like a magnet. You're going to lift both legs up a few inches and down a few inches. Good. So try not to lower your legs all the way down to the mat, but if you feel like you need a little bit of rest, you can do that. Good. Keep really squeezing both legs together. Good. Glue them all the way from your inner thighs all the way to your heels. Good. Let's do 5. Good. For 4, keep breathing.
Way more inner thigh now.
Yeah. For 2, especially as you squeeze the legs together. Good. Last one. Good. Lower both legs down. Nice job. All right. You're going to roll over onto your back. We're going to do some abs before we do all that on the other side. Okay. All right. So hands are going to come behind your head with your fingers knitted together, thumbs down the length of the neck. Okay. We're going to come up into a curl. So feet are going to be planted to start. Lift up into a curl. So tuck the chin ever so slightly, lift head, neck, and shoulders up off of the ground, and then lower back down. Good. All right. So keep going here. I want your head really heavy in your hands. See if your triceps can take on a little bit of the load to try to release through the front of the neck as you curl. Okay, good. Nice. Try to use a little bit less momentum on the way up. So see if you can lift from right below your ribs, so upper abdominals are lifting you and then lowering you back down. Good. All right. One more, and then we're gonna add both legs up in tabletop. So come out of your curl, good, lower head down, and now both legs are gonna float up off of the ground. They're gonna come into tabletop. So knees directly above your hips. And then we're gonna keep going with the curl. So lift head, neck, and shoulders up, and then lower back down. Nice, good. All right, so you're keeping your neutral spine here. So you're trying not to let your low back smush into the mat, and you're also trying not to let it arch away from the mat. Good, that's gonna become very important in a second. Okay, one more, and then we're gonna add on. Next time you curl, you're gonna toe tap through the left leg. So your left thigh is gonna move away from the chest just a few inches, and then bring it back to where it came from as you lower the head, neck, and shoulders back down to the mat. Good, all right, and then switch sides. So we're just alternating, one leg at a time. Good, so with the toe tap, this is where it gets really challenging to keep that neutral spine. So this is like the common mess up number 2, and it's pretty similar to the first one that we were talking about. So if you feel like your back is arching as you're toe tapping, you're probably lowering your leg too far. So you need to build up strength through the core to be able to lower the leg as much as Claire is doing it. So if your back is arching, think about moving your thigh just a little bit less far away from the chest to start. Good, and then you'll progress to this impressive range of motion that Claire is demonstrating here.
Is it really impressive?
Good. Yeah.
Wow.
Good. All right.
So easy to please.
I know. Okay, last one on the right. Make sure you're even. And lower down. Okay, we're gonna add on. As you curl, as you toe tap on the left side, your right arm is gonna disconnect and sweep towards your hip. Good. And then bring everything back to where it came from, uncurl. Nice. Good. Okay, keep going, switch sides. So now your left arm is sweeping down towards your hip, and then bring everything back to where it came from. Nice. Good. All right. Slow and controlled.
Really peeling my abs, upper, lower.
Yeah, this is super challenging. Good. All right. Be mindful as you're doing this that your knees aren't falling in towards your chest. So try to keep the tabletop as best you can. Okay, we're just gonna do one more each side to make sure we're even. Good, so we're gonna do one more on the left, one more on the right.
Dude, my obliques also.
Good, yeah, especially with the alternate arm and leg.
Exactly, this little diagonal sitch.
Yeah, good, okay. Hold your curl with your arm extended and hold, you're just gonna pulse the chest up. 8 pulses for 10, 9. If it's too much with the toe tap, bring your leg back up to tabletop, that's totally fine. For 4, 3,
dude,
2, 1, lower it down. Okay, and we're gonna switch sides. So hold your curl on the other side, right leg toe taps, good, little curl. So think about almost reaching your fingertips towards the furthest point of your mat away from you. Good, let's do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lower everything down, nice job.
Oh my God.
All right, ready for the other side?
That was a serious abdominal series. You got me there, didn't you?
we gotta get you to Brad Pitt level.
Troy's wife.
Yeah, exactly.
Does Troy have a girlfriend?
I have no idea. You know, I've never seen Troy.
Oh my God, I know what you're doing.
I've just seen pictures. Yeah. Okay, come onto hands and knees. Okay. So on hands and knees, and then you're gonna drop down onto your right forearm. Okay. So your right elbow is coming where your hand just was. Forearm is at a slight diagonal. Okay. You're gonna remove your left knee off of the ground, kick your left foot up towards the ceiling, keeping a 90-degree angle behind the leg, and then lower the leg back down to where it came from. Okay, good. So shoulders, as best you can, are staying squared down to the ground. Your hips can open ever so slightly. I want you to really engage through your right side. You can dump some weight over there to prevent yourself from toppling over to the right. Good. Nice.
Already my abs.
Good. Yeah. Well, we've worked them pretty intensely in all sorts of ways. Good. All right. Let's do 3 more. Good. Yeah, keep engaging through the core and think about what we talked about earlier about the glute lifting the leg, not the back arching to lift the leg. Okay. Last one, you're going to hold the leg lifted on this next one. Good. And hold. Okay, we're gonna draw those big circles. So pick a direction, open the leg out to the side, sweep the knee down towards the right knee, and then lift the leg back up. Good.
Oof.
Good. So you'll find like the further you're circling the leg out to the left, that's where it's the most challenging. So you might have like a sticking point there, but really focus on engaging through the core and through the right glute as you're creating these circles. Good.
It's really hard to not like move my body a ton and like my hips, as I like wiggle around like left and right as I do the circles.
Yeah, but you're doing a good job of keeping your right hip stacked over your right knee. That's the goal.
Oh my God.
Good.
I'm dying.
Okay, switch directions on this next one. So go the other way. Good. Yeah, keep engaging the core. Okay, let's do 6. Nice. For 5, remember, thigh bone moving around and hip socket, and that's what's generating the movement. We want all parts of the glute working. Okay. For 2. Good. Okay. Last one, and you can lower the leg back down. Nice job. Okay, take a little rest if you need it. Feels kind of nice though, the like big circles.
It does. I really enjoy that. It feels like a big
Hip opener, which is lovely.
Yeah. Okay, come back onto hands and knees. All right, hands below shoulders. And you're gonna extend your left leg long behind you. Sorry. Okay, so toes can touch down to the ground. Okay, we're just gonna lift the leg up a few inches to hip height and then lower back down. Okay, so we've been practicing this now, lifting through the glute rather than from the back. So you're engaging through the core, engaging through the low abdominals, and keep breathing as you're doing this. Good, so make sure you're not clenching. Yeah, good. Nice correction with the push through the shoulders. Good. Okay.
To think about as we keep going, but who do you think were like the most common like female figure crushes like in our childhood? So like if you were born in 93, like us.
Oh, Megan Fox maybe?
Oh yeah, deaths.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, we're gonna add on the arm. So next time you lift the leg up, your right arm is gonna sweep back towards your hip and then lower the arm back down as you lower the leg back down. Okay, so as you lift the arm, palm is facing up towards the ceiling to get a little bit of tricep engagement and then lower back down. Yeah, I would have said like Angelina Jolie, but I feel like that's maybe...
That's a woman's response to a guy crush. Yeah. What about the chick in American Pie, Tara, whatever, like the old version of Sydney Sweeney?
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Whew.
Okay, let's do 3 more. Careful of your hips staying facing down towards the mat.
Oh my God.
Good.
This is surprisingly hard to stay nice and stable.
Yeah, last one. Super straight back leg. Hold the arm and the leg lifted and hold. Okay, you're gonna open the leg out to the left 1 inch as you open the arm out to the right 1 inch and then close everything back to center. Good. Okay, this also requires a ton of stability. So really engage through the core as you do this. Keep pushing the ground away from you with your left hand. Good.
Oh my God.
Good. No wagging of the tail. Let's do 6, 5. Good. For 4.
Oh my God.
3, take it a little slower if you can. For 2, good. Last one, close everything, lower the leg. Nice job. And child's pose. So wide knee child's pose, you get the same stretch that we got on the other side. Yeah, I feel like Megan Fox is what, Transformers?
Yeah.
Take that thread of the arm. Yeah.
What was the other one where she's like car washing?
Car washing.
Yeah, she's like using like
the smallest sponge ever. It's soap to like. Lol, I'm a dumbass. The Megan Fox car movie is Transformers. Car washing scene is actually Cameron Diaz in Bad Teacher.
Okay, lay down on your right side. So you're gonna straighten through your top leg. Okay, and then want your hips stacked on top of each other, engage through the core, and then your top hand can come down onto the ground in front of you for some more support. We're gonna draw big circles with the top leg. So pick a direction, big circles, think thigh bone moving around inside the hip socket. Good. And then you're only going as big as you can without the hips toppling around. Good. Nice. Good. So same thing as on the other side. As you're creating these circles, you're trying to keep that same amount of space between your top rib and top hip and your bottom rib and your top hip. So as your leg is lifting, you're not letting your top hip kind of crash in towards your top rib. Good. Okay. Whew. One more in this direction, and then we're going to switch sides.
My top side glute.
Good. Yeah. And remember, relax the foot, turn the toes down a little bit towards the mat to get into the top side glute rather than the top quad. Especially if you're quad dominant, like I am, your quad is going to want to take over as you do this, and you're not actually working your side glute as you circle. Okay, let's do 2 more. Good. Keep engaging through your bottom oblique. Good. Last one, hold the leg lifted in line with the body. Good. Hold. Okay, you're going to straighten through your bottom leg. Good. So you might need to readjust that top hand. Okay, you're going to lower the top leg down a few inches and then lift up a few inches. Good. All right, so top leg is going to start feeling quite heavy. Good. And then lift back up. Nice.
It's really hard every time I lift my top leg to not let like my bottom oblique crash down towards the floor. You know, to keep the length from my top hip to my shoulder. Like you don't want like this to happen.
Yeah, exactly. So like, you don't want the top hip to squeeze in or crash in towards your top rib. All these things happen at the same time. Like if you feel your oblique falling, your hip is probably coming in towards your top hip is coming in towards your top rib. Okay.
I'll show that again, like the bad version.
Yeah.
Like when I'm like crashing down.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go back to good.
Okay. On this next one, hold the leg lifted in line with the top hip. Okay. We're going to take the bottom leg lifted up a few inches and then lower back down. Nice. We're almost done. Good.
Oh my God.
Okay. Lift and lower. Okay. So now the bottom inner thigh is working. So adductor is working to lift and lower the top leg. And obviously just holding your top leg in line with the body is super challenging.
Oh my God, dude, my top side glute. Emma.
Yeah, this is intense. Good. Keep hugging the core in. So engage through the ribs, close them. Good. Rather engage through the core and hug the ribs in. Good. All right. Let's do 3 more.
Oh my God.
Good.
I'm dying.
Keep breathing for 2. Make sure you're untucking your chin as you're doing this. Look directly in front of you. Good. Last one. Good. Lift the leg up. Squeeze both legs together. You're going to lift both legs up a few inches, lower down a few inches. Good. Little lift, little lower. Think gluing your inner thighs together all the way from your inner thighs down towards your heels. Let's do 5 more. Breathe.
Way more inner thigh now.
For 4. Yep. Good. Because now both of them are working. For 3. Good. For 2. Last one. Lower the legs back down. Nice job. All right. We're going to come into a plank to end. So you're going to come into a plank on your forearms. Final plank. All right. 2 long legs behind you. Okay. You're going to pike your hips up towards the ceiling, come onto high toes, good, or a high heel, and then you're going to come back forward into your plank. And then lower back down. Nice. Okay, keep going. So for a little bit more support, you can clasp your hands together. Good. Every time you lift up, I want you to think engagement through the core, and the really high heel is going to help increase the load on the abdominals. Good. All right. This is also some shoulder work. Let's do 3 more.
Oh my God.
Good. For 2.
Whew.
Really nice. Keep hugging the core in. Good. Last one. Hold your pike. Good. Just hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back to your plank and just hold it for 10 seconds. Good. For 10, 9, 8, 7, push the ground away from you. Keep hugging the core in. Good. For 4, butt in line with your shoulders. 2, 1, slowly lower the knees. Oh, nice job.
Wow.
All right, let's take a butterfly stretch to end. So you're gonna sit on your butt, bottoms of your feet together, knees are wide. Okay, and then I want you to start with a tall spine. Okay, so you can grab onto your feet and then press your elbows into both inner thighs or inner knees to give yourself a little bit more of a stretch, and then you can stretch your upper body forward. Good. Really nice.
Oh, such a nice
Good.
hip stretch.
Yeah,
Also, I will
after
say,
all the circling.
I read Matthew McConaughey's book called Green Light or Green
Did you?
Lights. Yeah, a few years ago. And it's just like, it's so funny. It's kind of just like a whatever book, but like the way he lives life is actually kind of a vibe. He basically has a dream. He's like in the Amazon, like floating on the Amazon River, did some sort of like psychedelic drug. And he just like woke up one day after the dream and he was like, oh, green light, need to go. Like need to replicate this exact same experience. And like that's his whole spiel is that like when you feel something or when you see something, that's a green light. Like it's a green light to go do it.
That sounds great until it's not. But sure.
But I'm like, what about the orange lights?
Yellow, you mean?
But they're orange, aren't they?
No, they're yellow. Red, yellow, green.
They?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
you're right. Okay,
Great job. Bye.
Bye.